Salvation. Salvation. Why the heck is this UU minister talking to us about salvation on a Sunday morning, no less? When was the last time that happened here? Now, some of you may have learned about salvation in other religious contexts. I know it best from my Christian background, where salvation was about being saved from the consequences of sin, of one's sins, both in life and, more importantly, in death. That is, being saved from eternal damnation. Our Universalist forebears actually got their name from their views on salvation, right? For them, salvation was freely given to all people. It was universal. Because God's love was so good that God would never condemn, or because God was so good that God would never condemn God's creations to hell. Universalists also taught that salvation was more about creating heaven on earth, or the kingdom of God, as some refer to it, right here, right now. I believe that. For me, as for them, it's about heeding the call to truly, truly love our neighbors as ourselves, and recognizing that everyone is our neighbor. In today's reading, Ellen Sparrow sees salvation being practiced right in our congregations. And yep, you practice salvation right here because you are committed to being in a covenantal community with one another. You come together to embody, however haphazardly, what I call big L love, which you may call God or human goodness or spirit of light or spirit of life. But you come together to carry out NVUU's mission, which says in part to encourage the best in each other as you seek justice, truth, and the fruits of your individual spiritual quests in an atmosphere of tolerance and within a community of faith, and pledge to nurture the spiritual and ethical life of your children. This congregation has been beset by some hard knocks over the last several years. Reverend Bonnie's unexpected retirement, the coronavirus pandemic that began 4 years ago this month, the glass fire that came 6 months later, a line of good and temporary ministers, and periods with no minister. And yes, the congregation has shrunk as a result of all these things. Members have left over heartaches and disagreements. Members have moved or fallen out of the habit of church or died. And yet, this congregation continues because you are dedicated to keeping alive the flame of Unitarian Universalism for all those who seek it. You are dedicated to living your principles, your values, and mission in the world. And this is what stewardship is all about, tending the congregation in 1,000 ways so you can carry out your mission and pass on a life-giving religion to future generations. This congregation's successful 40-year history is a testament to that stewardship. I was thinking the other day about all that NVUU has accomplished in the last year. By the work of many hands, this congregation welcomed a minister emerito with a wonderful party, held a successful fundraiser, updated the signage out front, and put up that wonderful Side with Love, Black Lives Matter banner. You have kept this building and grounds in great shape. You've moved the electrical wiring off the floor and into the walls. You've installed this new sanctuary doors with those really cool transom windows. I love that. You've cared for the gardens. and that beautiful magnolia tree out back. And you settled Al's Rock. And if you don't know the story of Al's Rock, please ask, into its place of honor at the end of the walkway next to the new benches that you installed. You made sure that there was a religious education program and childcare for the children and youth of this community. Young people participated in Sunday morning classes, used materials Ginger sent home to the families, attended conferences of the young religious UUs of the Pacific, or served as leaders of that group. Because of you, our children and youth have the opportunity to grow and deepen their UU faith. But wait, there's more. You supported many congregational activities like the book group, Wild Wonderful Women, Pastor's Potluck, a very popular and well-attended intergenerational game night. You also reached out to the larger community. You've donated over $2,600 to worthy organizations in the community through your Share the Plate program. $2,600, that's wonderful. You contributed to Common Ground, the grassroots organizing collective dedicated to hearing the needs of our most marginalized communities and doing something about it. You forged a relationship with Ukrainian refugee community here in Napa Valley, and now host weekly English club meetings for them to hone their English conversation skills. You found a need, and you decided to fill it. In July, you started renting the building to El Buen Samaritano, a Spanish language Christian church. They meet every Sunday afternoon here. Through this agreement, NVUU is supporting an underserved community and building a solid relationship based on trust and mutual care. Did you know that their pastor, Philemon, is leading the crew that is refurbishing the 3 sheds in the back? Their labor in exchange for some storage space. It's an incredible win-win. I hope you are proud of this. I hope that you are proud of all you are doing for collective salvation, for bringing about heaven on earth, right here. You have been good stewards this year by contributing your time, talent, and treasure, your efforts, your gifts, and your financial support. On this Stewardship Sunday, it is time to consider 2 essential questions. What do you dream of accomplishing next year and in the years to come? And what are you able to contribute to make that happen? During the listening sessions we had in December and January, many of you said that you want to continue all the programs that are offered here and the ministry that is here. And you want more music, more young people, more activities, more visibility in the community. And of course, to have more rather than less will take more of your efforts, gifts, and your financial support. We UUs are often reluctant to talk about money, to ask for money. It feels too much like that other religion, whatever that may be for you, with its requirements for giving and penalties for non-giving. Maybe it made you feel like you were paying for your salvation. Unitarian Universalism has no threat of ostracism or eternal damnation if you do not contribute financially to the congregation. Yet UUs value generosity. It is an important value of the congregation and, in fact, the entire UU association. In fact, UUs will vote to put this in June, to put this definition and covenant about generosity into the UU Association's bylaws. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Heaven on earth. The beloved community. To bring about this world we dream of, we must contribute with a generosity born from the awareness that our individual resources are truly shared resources. I have to admit that I'm not as great at generosity as I would like to be. I'm the type of person who tends to conserve money and energy because I figure I might need them in the future. And I don't want to be without. It takes a continual interior work for me to relinquish my grip on my resources. I did manage to donate 5% of my income to mostly UU causes this year, yet my goal is always to do better. I recently received food for thought when listening to an excellent podcast called Bible Study, Parody and Subversion in Matthew's Gospel. And full disclosure, you'll hear more about that come Easter Sunday. So come Easter Sunday. The podcaster, Bert Newton, says that Jesus was here not to start a new religion, but to bring about a new society, one based on mutual aid, equality, liberation, nonviolence. Consider, for example, Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 to 21. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moths and vermin may destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Newton says that in this context, heaven actually means community. That's what Jesus was preaching. Store up for yourselves treasures in the community. Jesus was teaching his followers to help their neighbors in a new society of mutual aid, so that in times of need, each of them too will have enough. Sounds a lot like the UUA statement. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. This isn't about get rich quick schemes, send $1 and you'll receive 100 back by the end of the week, right? It isn't about any one person getting ahead because, of course, hierarchies and meritocracies have no part in the new society. Rather, it means for us to resist the fear that there is not enough for everybody. The fear that if you have more resources, then there's less for me. It means to circulate our wealth. And the truth is, most of us in this room are undoubtedly wealthier than the vast majority of people on earth. Because it isn't yours or mine to begin with, but a tool to be shared for the common good. If these thoughts and ideas threaten your core sense of security, well, you're not alone. I'm right there with you. As a feminist raised by a single mother, I harbor a deep desire to be financially independent. Yet I also feel a sense of relief when I remember that I am part of an interdependent web, as our seventh principle says, as my stole says. And in this web, we share our resources, not just because we are told we must, but because we know that our well-being is bound up with each other's. That our well-being, that your well-being is my well-being. When I imagine the world this way and envision my part in it, I feel not only relief, but joy, deep joy, and a responsibility to make the web strong and healthy and whole by sharing what I have. How about you? This is how we live into this UU faith, to be faithful to our shared principles, values, covenant, and each other, to stretch and offer our time, talent, and treasure for the salvation of the world and ourselves. Pledging to NVUU is an act of faithfulness. I hope that when you fill out your pledge card and list the ways you might volunteer at NVUU, you will hold a vision of putting your shared resources toward expanding the activities within these walls and beyond. I hope you will joyfully offer all you can to carry out the mission of this congregation and to be a force for the common good in the world. May you find salvation here and now and offer it to all. May you freely choose to share your little bit of light, some of the light, truth, and love to the work of turning the world around. May it be so. Amen. I'm going to close with the words of Michael A. Schuler. He writes, if you are proud of this church, become its advocate. If you are connected if you are concerned for its future, share its message. If its values resonate deep within you, give a measure of your devotion. This church cannot survive without your faith, your confidence, your enthusiasm. Its destiny, the larger hope, rests in your hands. Now, please rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 300, with heart and mind. And did I get